When answering exam questions, there are a few key things to remember, right? So just remember, exam technique is a key part in preparation for any exams, and it's something that you'll pick up the more you go and you do past papers. Right, so many questions in exams are repeats of what will be in old exams. So going and looking at lots of generic questions beforehand is a good idea. When going and answering and questions and reading them, there's a few things just take into account. Make sure you go read the question at least twice so you don't make any mistakes when you're reading them. As you're reading them, go highlight key information. Don't make assumptions about what the question's asking. Make sure after you've answered it, you go check your work for daft errors that you might make. And if it involves going and answering something where there's some calculation, make sure that you write your workings out down. Right, let's go and have a look at the question. So we're going to look at a quick question on the structure of DNA. Right, so just to go through some key bits before. It's worth recalling that DNA is made of genetic material and that we're finding that genetic material in the nucleus of the cell, right? And that, again, it's made of DNA, right? It's worth recalling that DNA is a polymer and that it's made up of lots of small subunits called nucleotides, right? So a nucleotide is made of a sugar and a phosphate that go make its backbone, and it's got different bases that are attached to it. So some other key things that we need to remember about DNA. So it is a double helix. So DNA is always shown, like you can see on the diagram just there, it's always shown as being a twisted interlinking parts. So it's a double helix that twirls around on itself. So the base pairs are on each side of the molecule. So each strand of DNA is made up of chemicals called bases. So whenever we're going in, we're answering questions on this, we need to make sure that we're talking about bases. And in DNA, the two strands coil together to make that the structure called a double helix. Right? Do not forget that it's called a double helix. So if we go and look at how we are going to go and answer this question then. So it starts off with, so DNA is a polymer of nucleotides. So why is DNA described? So the key point there, the key phrase, is that it's saying described as a polymer. So the key thing that you've got to remember about polymers is that it's made out of many nucleotides that are joined together, or many monomers that are joined together. Right, and that leads us on to this bit where it says describe the structure of a nucleotide. So remember that we said that DNA is made up of lots of nucleotides. Right, thinking back, so a nucleotide it has that phosphate group on it. Right, each of those phosphates is attached to a sugar. Those sugars are then attached to 1 to 4 of the base pairs, and the base pairs are either A, G, T or C. Right? You don't need to actually worry about the actual proper terminology for what those bases are. Just the letters will suffice. So this takes us on to the second part. So the length of DNA in a double helix increases by 0.34 nanometers for every pair of nucleotides. Right? So that's really important, just noting that. So the total number of nucleotides in the human body is 1.2 times by 10 to the power of 10. So calculate the total length of the double helix in the human body. So right, give your answer in meters, right, using the information from the diagram that we've just looked at to go and help. Right, there are a number of things in this calculation that we need to take account of. So to start off with, we need to multiply the length of one base pair, which we've got, by the total number of base pairs. So we're multiplying 0.34 by 12 and then times 10 to the power of 10, right, which gives us that figure there, right? So 4.08 times by 10 to the power of 8. give or take. Right, we then need to convert those nanometers into meters. So we're converting nanometers into meters, and we're doing that by dividing it by that large number there. So a 1 with 9 zeros, which gives us 4.8 meters. Right. Due to the fact that we've got 2 base pairs being added each time, we need to divide that number there by 2 to give us a final answer of 2.04 meters. So hopefully you have found that useful. If you've got any questions, then drop it in the comments below, and we'll be uploading a lot more. Right, good luck, folks.